Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Today, let's look at some tips for using the File Save dialog. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So when you first create a new document in just about any app on your Mac, like here in Pages, then you would normally go to save the document. You can go to File Save or Command S. And then you get what's called the File Save or Save File dialog. This is where you decide where the file is going to live and what name it's going to have. So here are some tips for using this. Now you might want me to jump right away to this button here. And don't worry, I'm going to get to that soon enough. But here are some things you can do with this compact version of the dialog. One is, of course, that you can name the file. But notice how by default only the part before the file extension is selected. But if you want to select the entire name, you can. A quick Command A is select all in just about any app and it works right here. So Command A and now you have the entire thing selected. It's really handy in situations where you want to change the extension. Like if the app insists on using .jpeg and you want to use .jpg, you can easily do it Command A and then type the whole thing out. Now notice right below the name you've got tags. You could assign tags right here to the file. So you don't have to wait for it to get into the Finder, maybe work on the file for a bit, and then go to work with tags. You can add existing tags here. You can use Show All to bring up a list of all of them, or you can just type new tags right there. So if you like tagging your files, you can do it right here from the start. Now notice here you can choose Where. Now without pressing this button here, I am getting to it, you can select from several different places. You will see a lot of things you normally see like the top level, other drives. You can see places like iCloud Drive. You can even see recent places here at the bottom, which means 90% of the time you might find exactly what you want right here. But if you want to customize this, notice you also find favorites. Where are these favorites from? Well, they're from the Finder. If I bring up a Finder window, there are my favorites. And those will match here, but minus some things. Stuff like recents won't be included and applications, of course, isn't a place to save files. But if I were to add something else like this folder right there, and then I go and I'll start this again. I'll just cancel, do Command S to save, and then if I look here I'll see that's listed there now. Now you can also use drag and drop here to indicate any location you want. So the idea is to bring up a Finder window like this. And now if I want to go into this folder, I can drag and drop it right here, actually anywhere here. And you can see it'll change the location to that folder. So if you happen to have that visible right there in the Finder, it's easy to set the where to any folder. Now how about some keyboard shortcuts? If I were to press Return right here, it would save. I don't need to actually click this button. So if I want to stick with the keyboard, I can do Command S to save. I can type something and then I can press Return to save. If I want to cancel, I have two keyboard shortcuts. I could use the Escape key or I can do Command period for cancel. Alright, so finally let's look at the extended version of this. By clicking here, now you've got a proper save dialog with a lot more functionality. First, you actually have the sidebar here on the left, just like in the Finder. You'll find all these same things over here. So you can easily go to favorites and anything else that's listed, different drives and all of that. Now if you'd rather not see that, save some space, or maybe you don't see it and you want to turn it on, you can do that right here. Now notice also there's some buttons here that make this even more like a regular Finder window. In a Finder window like this, we could switch between list view, we can do icon view, we can do columns. Well, you can do the same thing here. You've got those three types of views right there. And you also even have the groupings right here. And if you're in list view, you can even sort by name and such. So let's go up a level here to projects and I could sort by name, I could sort by size, I could sort by kind. I can do all that stuff just like this was a regular Finder window. Now you can also use the keyboard shortcuts for this. Notice here it doesn't show keyboard shortcuts for icon, list, or column view. But in the Finder you certainly have those. Command 1, Command 2, Command 3. So if you use them here, it'll just work. And those aren't the only keyboard shortcuts you can use from the Finder. In the Finder you've got the Go menu and you have some standard things like Shift Command O for documents, Shift Command D for desktop, and all of the rest here. You could use these right here as well. So Shift Command D takes me to the desktop, Shift Command O takes me to documents. And note that the drag and drop I showed you earlier in the compact version of this also works here. So I could easily drag and drop a folder right here and you can see it goes to that location. Another thing you could do is you could use search. So instead of trying to navigate your way to a particular folder, you can just search for it. So you do Project Alpha and say I want to search this Mac, and sure enough there are a couple of locations with that name and I could just save it right in there. No navigation needed, just searching for it. Now this is the tip that I probably use the most. When you click on a file, notice that the file names here are grayed out. You can't actually do anything with them here. You're trying to save a new file, not do anything to old files. But if you were to click on an old file, look what happens to the file name. It takes the file name and uses it for this file, but it doesn't do that for the extension. So I use this all the time when I have a folder with files and I want to have similar file names for them, but they're going to be different types of files. An image, a video, a project, a pages document, and all of that. In this case I've got an image here in this project folder and I want to name this pages document the same thing. So instead of having to type the name out, I can just click. Really helps a lot, especially when the file names get to be particularly long. Now what if you wanted to do that with a folder name? Like say this folder didn't have a file in it already. Well, there's no way to do that because selecting the folder of course is going to go down into that folder. But you can control click, right click, or two finger click on a trackpad on a folder and get a context menu. And one of the things the context menu contains is rename. And you can actually rename a folder right here while you're in the middle of saving a document. That's kind of neat in itself, but you can also do this to actually do Command C, grab the name, and then go into your file name here and paste it. Again, this is much more useful when there's a long file name that you could easily mistype than when it's a short, easy one. Now there's also a button down here that we shouldn't ignore called New Folder. You can actually use this to create a new folder right here in the Save dialog. So you don't necessarily need to go and set up a folder in advance. If this is the first file that you're going to be putting in a folder, you go to save it, you can go to the right location, create a new folder right in here with that button, and then name the folder, put the file inside. And by the way, the keyboard shortcut in the Finder for new folder is Shift Command N, and it works here as well. Now another thing you can do here is use the very useful Shift Command G function. This allows you to navigate using the keyboard. You can type the path to anywhere that you want. So if you like doing this, if you like navigating around using the path, you can do it. It's also of course going to have your recents in here. So if it's a recent folder, it's going to be easy to use the keyboard with Shift Command G and go down to a folder, select it, and now you're at that location. Now a lot of times when you use Shift Command G to type the names of folders, you start off with either a slash starting at the top level of the drive or a tilde starting in your home folder. Well, guess what? Since you can't really use those characters in file names anyway, if you just start using those, it automatically assumes you want Shift Command G. So I'll just hit slash and you can see I go right into it. And it's the same thing if I do tilde. And finally, another keyboard shortcut thing is that you can use the very useful Command Up to go up a level. Of course you can always click here and then go up a level inside of the folder hierarchy right there. But I find it very useful when you're down here just to use Command Up to go up a level. And then you can use all of the other keyboard navigation to go wherever you want. Plus the letters work as well. So if I'm here at the top and I want to jump down to the first folder with S, I can just type S and it jumps down there. Really useful when it's a super long list of folders. And of course you also have the back and forward button here, which you don't use most of the time. But if you're kind of navigating around trying to search around for the place to put this file, you may find it useful sometimes to go back, especially if you're jumping around. Shift Command D to go to desktop, and then to go to documents, and then you go into here, and now you just want to go back through that again to where you were originally. So here's a tip about the File Save dialog that doesn't use the dialog at all. You can skip it entirely, but how do you do that and still give the file a name? Well, if you click up here with a new file, it brings up the information about the file name and the location. I can go in here and I can name the file whatever I want and then pick a location right from here and it's saved. No need to ever use the Save dialog at all. And here if I look at the desktop, there it is. And here's one last tip. Of course once you save the first time, saving again doesn't bring that dialog up at all because you're just saving the current version of the file. But if you want to save it somewhere else, you could go to File, Save As. This brings up the same dialog and will now save the current version of the file somewhere else as a completely new file, leaving the old one alone. But sometimes you're working in an app and there is no Save As. You can just save. You figure out that you could use duplicate to do basically the same thing. But maybe if you're used to doing Save As or it seems like the better workflow, you can usually get it even if apps don't have it here by simply holding the Option key down. And that will change duplicate file to Save As. So if you ever want to use Save As and it's not available in the File menu, just hold the Option key down to find it. Hope you found all these tips useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.